Ready?
That's a theme song.
We have a theme song.
We have a theme song. Ooh, ooh. We have a theme song. We have a theme song. Theme song, y'all. Hello, and welcome to Rhythm and Pixels. We're a video game music podcast. My name is Rob Nichols.
And I'm Pernell.
Every week, every other week right now, but usually every week. And if you could listen to past episodes every day, we listen to great video game music from all consoles and all generations. We pick a topic, or sometimes you pick a topic, and we pick tracks, and sometimes you pick tracks. I would want to first start off the show by saying thank you for listening. Thank you for sitting through an advertisement if you did. If you would like to listen to this show ad-free, go to patreon.com/rhythmandpixels, where all of our episodes are there ad-free. At least the new ones right now. I'm kind of uploading the old ones as it goes. And also you can go to YouTube. That's fine too. There's no ads on. I don't think there's any ads on YouTube. I'm not monetizing that. But yeah, hopefully the ads are okay. We're still doing them for now. But until then, I see Pernell's got a deck of cards.
Oh no, Garbage Pail Kids, man.
A deck of cards.
Hey, these are more than decks of cards. These are disgustingly wonderful.
We can either play spades or we can play lighter than Aaron.
Yeah, Garbage Pail Kid. So this is the Garbage Pail Kid goes on vacation set.
Grunting Gaston. That's disgusting. You can have that one.
A lot of them are disgusting. That's why they're Garbage Pail Kids, which is funny though because this is officially the last set where they can be as gross as they are.
Why?
Because apparently, I'm not sure if it was Topps got bought by somebody or Topps got merged with somebody, but as a result, they said, and this is going to sound hilarious for this, but that's what Garbage Pail Kids like. No more blood-related jokes. No more poop-related jokes, and I think I even heard no more snot-related jokes.
Okay, that's like 80% of their cards.
I agree. I'm like, I don't know where they're going to go from here. It's going to get real weird without all those kinds of jokes. I mean, they can still work with some stuff. Like this, for example, a barfing slot machine. Okay, that's a grandmother. That's pretty good.
So barf vomit was not included in that list.
Maybe I just missed it and barf is, and I just didn't say it.
Rowdy Renee. That's not so bad.
Yeah, see, they get cool.
Although there is the Birth of Man drawn up behind them with Garbage Pail Kids, and God, who is giving birth to man, has boogers all over him.
Oh yeah, it's a Garbage Pail Kid.
Palace Preston. I don't know. I kind of see what you mean. If they're not poop, vomit, or snot related, they're not very fun, are they?
Not all the time. There are a lot of good ones that use none of the above. None of the above. But admittedly, some of the best ones do have those things. But I mean, it's amazing to me that I've been collecting Garbage Pail Kids since I was 5 years old. And I am now in my 40s, and I'm still doing it. I have a lot of cards.
Yeah, I know.
What it means. I've sold some for a good chunk of change, too. But for the most part, I just like collecting these cards. They make me feel good. They make me feel... I don't want to say young because nothing makes you really feel young, short of like, I don't know, running a marathon or something. But then I'm exhausted.
That just makes you feel pain.
And lots of pain.
I know.
Youth is pain.
That makes me feel pain.
But it just makes me feel good to be like, almost takes me back to a time where I was carefree, just cracking packs and be like, oh, wow, that guy's got snot coming out of his
Me and my friends sitting outside cracking packs.
Yeah, it's kind of like how some people feel about video games in that regard, too. It's like you can go through a stressful day, week, month, whatever, and then you go home, it's like, oh, this new game came out. You unwrap it and you put it in the system. It's like, for that, whatever period of time you allow yourself to have, you're just kind of absorbed in that product, in that world, and that world's problems. And that's it.
Yeah, regardless of what the game is. Because back in the day, it's like, okay, I rented it. It's terrible, but that's my weekend. So I'm playing that game.
I'm going to play it.
I'm playing Total Recall for the NES.
I'm sorry you had to do that. I'm sorry you had to engage that. I will admit, deep down,
not all of us had perfect childhoods, Pernell.
Hey,
some of us had Total Recall for the NES.
I think I just got lucky. More often than not, I ended up renting games that weren't bad. Like
you subscribed to Nintendo Power.
It's true.
I did not.
Oh, there it is. That's the problem. Yeah, I had the experts at Nintendo Power curating a list of would-be rentals. Yeah. So I knew to go look for Secret of Mana at Blockbuster Video.
I had a secondhand NES and games I could borrow and rent. So that was our budget. The budget was nothing. So
hey, I understand that too. Hand-me-downs and secondhand was the way of the world back then.
Well, back then also we tried to complete a lot of games. Although a lot of these games probably weren't meant to be completed right away because of rentals. But that is what we're talking about today. Today is our February challenge, which is our 4 games in February. Mm-hmm. Can you complete 4 games in February, at least? And regardless of the game or how far along you were into it. In my case, thank God, because
I was going to ask.
I would have never made it. But yeah, 4 games in February. We asked our listeners, asked our Patreon members.
Heck, we even asked ourselves.
And we asked ourselves. We did some deep soul searching.
And the thing that disturbed me the most about this entire engagement is that I think you pulled it off.
I did.
Which is unprecedented.
Absolutely. Yeah.
This is the busiest you've ever been in your life.
I did 5. I did 5 games.
5 games.
It's not going to happen anymore now that little man's squirmy and crying and stuff. But for a while, he was just like a little nugget that was like, let me sleep. And I'm like, let me game. I'm not going anywhere.
Let me sleep. Your wish is my command, sir. On it.
Okay, so this is also a Patreon exclusive episode it's recorded for Patreon Live. So we are live today. If you want to be part of these live podcasts, you can join. If not, don't worry about it. It's going to be on the free feed. Have fun. But, if you want to see all the Garbage Pail Kids cards that Pernell has out on the table and all that, we can do that too.
I only have 4 packs left, and I got to go buy and spend another $20 to get 10 more.
Man, you did that so fast.
Because I already know what I'm looking for now.
Oh, you know what you're... Oh, okay. So they're numbered. They're numbered, right?
There's 100A and 100B cards, and I've already opened a lot of packs, and I'm trying to resolve the finality of the base set of cards. After that, I don't care anymore.
What do you do with the extras?
I'm still trying to figure that out. I'm going to start giving them away. Here, Merry Christmas to friends.
Do you have a box of extras?
So here's a cool one. Look at that. Why
Kiki? Okay, it's a kid made out of...
It's one of those things where you put on the car dashboard and it bounces around.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was hard to understand.
You didn't see the spring in her torso?
Oh, that's what that is.
Yes, it's a spring.
Stone-faced Stella. He's from Easter Island.
Yeah, see?
Yeah, little Easter Island head.
Yeah, see, there's no boogers in that. not a booger in sight.
Oh, my gosh. It could be.
That is true. There could be some secret snot.
That's actually a color variation. That's a problem.
Actually, it is snot green.
That's a problem with that card. All right, so we asked our listeners to also bring in topic suggestions, and with it, some testimonials if they would, if they wouldn't mind, about the games they completed or about the songs they selected for us to play. And the whole show will be just that. And I'm going to swing it over to Pernell.
Oh, I'm the kickoff artist?
We're going to start off on Pernell's Corner.
All right, that's a good show. This week on Pernell Corner, we talk about a young lad who's suffering from game ADHD. How do I play through one game in one sitting? The answer is I can't help you, but here's someone who can.
In one sitting?
Yeah, as in I can't. I mean, you could. I mean, most of my 4 in February games were pretty much that.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
I mean, that was the sad reality for me in 4 in February this year. I could not... So we agreed as a collective, many of us was like, we're going to play through Hollow Knight. We're going to knock Hollow Knight out for the first time ever. And I was excited. I jumped on board, ready to go. And then I realized that game is really long. Probably someone can contest this if I'm wrong, but it may well be the longest Metroidvania game ever made. I am of the belief that is the truth.
It's a long one.
It is really long. So
long boy.
About halfway into the month, I had to pivot. I was like, look, I'm going to keep playing the game, but it can't be 4 in February because I'm not going to finish this game. So I ended up beating games that were unexpected, with the exception of one that was on the list. So I'll just name them, and then we'll go into the tracks proper.
Yeah, sure.
I had a desire to replay the Goonies 2 on the Nintendo Entertainment System. So my friend and I played through it on a Saturday night. And it was pretty cool because I was able to remember a lot of stuff that I remember from childhood, and even that tip from the Nintendo Power Line that I got about where the diving suit was. I still remember that. But I could not find one Goonie, and it was driving me nuts, and in typical fashion, I did not want to look up help. I was like, I'm going to find this jerk. I can read the map. I'll figure it out. But then Francis got tired. He Googled it, and I was in a specific room that I believed to get to be in, but couldn't find them, and I left, and he's like, Pernell, go back. Go back to the room. I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, I'm not doing this.
I'm not doing this with you, Pernell.
Go back to the room. So I opened the door, and he was like, it's in this room. And I'm like, looking, it's like, how do you figure oh, crap. And it was all about the way they orient the character when you walk in the door. Like, the Nintendo had a really dumb way on that game of the orienting your character upon entering the rooms you go into.
Yeah.
I assumed that you were always facing up coming in from the bottom because that's the orientation of you.
Oh, but you had to go down.
In this case, you come in from the top and you have to exit from the bottom. And I didn't realize that. And that was why I kept screwing it up because I kept exiting from the way I came in and didn't know it. It was such bullspit. So I was like, so there, that was the thing.
Or it was a fun puzzle for you to solve.
Ain't no damn puzzle. That was junk. But then after that, we started playing Gargoyle's Quest 2, which I had never played before. I got about halfway through it, then stopped and went home. Beat Gargoyle's Quest 1 at work on multiple lunch breaks. Then decided to boot up Gargoyle's Quest 2 using the password we kept, and I beat that game as well. And then I beat one more game, and I'm already forgetting what the heck it was. Oh, Netscape.
Oh, Netscape. Yeah, we talked about that on the last show.
Yes. Yeah. So that was a total of 4 games that I barely managed to get through. But at the same time, I also just started playing, including Hollow Knight, games that are just stupidly long that I like. Yeah. Like Labyrinth of Refrain I got back into again, and Labyrinth of Galleria, the sequel to that game.
All those Labyrinth games.
Oh, yeah. I love all the Labyrinth.
Yeah. All the David Bowie.
Power of the Voodoo. Who do you do? I do.
Yeah, so I finished Unpacking because I was on the last stage already. Mm-hmm. Anyway, that game is so short anyway, and that was fun. And then I finished Tunic. I was towards the end of that, but I wanted to solve all of the final puzzles. Mm-hmm. So I did that. No, I didn't do the bad ending, though. I didn't do the final fight sequence.
If anything, I think you did the real testament to it. You did the actual final puzzles.
Yeah, I went back and read about the game because there's a lot. I didn't want to translate all the pages, so I went and just kind of read through all that stuff. And it's a great idea for them to allow the players to kind of decide how they want to finish the game. Because the game is all action and puzzling combat up until that point. Mm-hmm. To stall out the game just to do puzzles, it felt a little like kind of disjointed, but it's what I wanted from the start.
Okay.
So I finished that, and then I finished the last campfire, which was just long. It was not challenging. It was fun, but there was like zero challenge.
It was more about the experience than the actual difficulty.
Yeah, and it was okay. Like I could have been so much better. So I finished that, and then I finished Vampire Survivors, which I've been playing for a little while, but I got to the last boss on that, and then yesterday I finished all of the unlocks. So it's 100. It's not 100% done, but it is like 99.9% like everything completed.
Wait, of what game now?
Vampire Survivors.
Vampire Survivors. Okay, I was for a second my brain because Game Fan mentioned Unpacking, so I was like my brain conflated Unpacking with Vampires. Like,
right.
Wait, there's secrets in Unpacking.
Yeah, so there's unlocks in Vampire Survivors. There's 145 of them, so I did them all. But when in doing so, there's a secret menu which has like 10 or 12 like different secret like phrases that kind of lead you to different places on all the maps to find more characters.
Oh, cool.
So you can go and find them. And there's also another secret menu which allows you to input codes to do stuff. But that just bypasses
that
things.
Game, I gotta say, I mean, Vampire Survivors, I said it on the Hey Poor Player wrap-up, and I think I've said it once on this show here, but just in case, that game is a testament to content availability.
Yeah,
you pay nothing to get it, and there's probably more in that game than a lot of active, full-on releases got last year.
So yeah, I finished that one, and then then I played through Res because I was up late with the baby, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll just play this one. I was on stage 2, and I just blew through the rest of the game. So I played it so many times as a kid, so that was fun. And then I downloaded Wipeout Omega Collection. And that is hard. Oh, my God. That is not what I remember that game being, which was already hard to begin with. It is rough.
Yeah, I've never been good at Wipeout.
It is rough. Like, I can do the time trials and, like, just the race, but when it adds the weapons, I can't get out of 8th place. The whole race, I'm just stuck in the back of the pack. Can't even catch up. I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Getting shot.
It is awful. I'm not even getting shot. I can't catch up to them.
I love how you said, when they add the weapons, I can't catch up, but I'm not getting shot. I'm just losing.
They add the weapons, and I can see them up ahead shooting each other, and I'm like, hey, guys, I'm behind you.
They added the weapons, which made it harder, but the weapons aren't the reason why
that was on sale. And also on sale was Paradise Killer. So I downloaded Paradise Killer, and I started that today. Okay. And I don't know if I'm going to get into that one. Which is a shame. It's a lot of new, strange information all at once. And I'm like,
Lady Lovelace, or whatever her name is, Lady Kill It All.
Lady Love Dies.
Lady Love Dies. There we go.
Because when Lady Love dies, only the truth remains.
That's an interesting statement.
Which is great. Yeah, I know. It's a cool idea. It's got an amazing aesthetic, but like I don't care about the murder. It's crazy. It's like why am I investigating a murder I don't care about?
That's what I'm wondering about too, because I was talking to Christy upstairs about that earlier.
Yeah. So I might get back into it. It's also first person like exploration, which is not my thing. I didn't realize that. So I don't know how far I'm going to get into that one. But there's still season. We have to finish season, and there's a few others I want to download. So Hollow Knight looks like a lot of fun. I might do that one later.
Hey, join us. Join us in the foreverdom. Just know that you'll get lost
bliss.
a lot. Yes, bliss.
So that's what. So I finished 5 games in February, which is pretty remarkable.
That means you actually finished more games in February than me.
I finished 5 games and exercised 0 times.
Okay, I feel a little better there because that's where the swap happened.
Because usually I'm playing just DDR and running. Now I'm not doing any of that. So
and whereas you're usually out exercising me and I'm playing more games, that's the switch around too.
It's a big switch. But let's get into some picks. So we have a lot of
snot picks.
Nose picks is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
No, we're talking about track picks that came from our listeners' noses, Pernell.
Oh.
We got some real slimy ones and some crusty ones. From a lot of different listeners. I'm really excited that we got so much feedback. So, Pernell, why don't you start with our first?
All right, so the first pick I have comes from our listener and friend, Gritty Game Fan 44. See that garbage pail kid represents that?
I like that. I like
boom,
that.
Boom.
I know that she'll appreciate that as well.
Game Fan 44 submits a track from the game Kirby and the Forgotten Land called Ready to Go, composed by Yuuta Ogasawara. Welcome back. You're listening to Ready to Go from the game Kirby and the Forgotten Land on the Nintendo Switch, composed by Yuuta Ogasawara, composed by that person, and submitted by Gritty Game Fan 44. And this is what she had to say about this track. The songs I'm recommending, I'm going to say the whole thing there, but the songs I'm recommending is Where Are You and Escape from Thomas Was Alone by David Housden, and Ready to Go and Masked and Wild DDD from Kirby and the Forgotten Land. I barely finished the 4 in February. Work got really busy this month, and I was not able to finish 3 of the games I was planning to commit to. The game I beat were Thomas Was Alone, a short platformer that gives hope, Theatrhythm, Final Bar Line, one of the few rhythm series that I like to play when I want to just play something, Kirby and the Forgotten Land. This game is so cute, and it may be the second Kirby game I've ever beaten, and Pokemon Silver. I have beaten Gold before, but the battery has died, so it was time to start anew. My honorable mentions of the games I wanted to beat but didn't were Fire Emblem Fate's Birthright, where I got to Chapter 18, Final Fantasy IV, where I got to the Land of Summons. Oh, you were so close! And Ace Attorney, which I'm on Episode 4. All of those are freaking good. She says, congrats to everyone who participated.
Yes.
And I am like hearing the games that she didn't get through, and I'm like, oh, I hope you go back to those. Because Birthright, I have no excuse. I'm in the same bubble as you, except I stopped like Chapter 8. Final Fantasy IV is one of my favorite Final Fantasy games, so I'm always down for people going through that. Ace Attorney is the game that got me into adventure games entirely, so I'm always down for people playing through that. But yes, do it. And Kirby and the Forgotten Land is one I need to get back to as well because I do think the game is wonderful. She says this is the title track, and the track that stands up to me the most was not the title track, but it's like a track that plays where it's got vocals, and like Kirby eats a car and he's like driving into like the horizon. It's like this very happy.
It's like an intro, not like a title track, but like an intro kind of song. Is that what that is?
Yeah, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it's actually this theme with vocals or something, and I'm just not remembering properly. But I just remember like being really happy, like wow, there's a Kirby theme with vocals, and he's like he eats a car, but he doesn't quite digest it, so his eyes are like blinking in front of it.
That boy, my little boy, he eats so many things. He could not get through a car is interesting to me.
That's kind of what I felt funny about the entirety of that game's gimmick, because the gimmick is that he eats things. It's called mouthful mode because his body kind of enwraps the object. Mouthful. He doesn't swallow. He just enwraps it and takes on properties of the object. But it's like Kirby can eat an entire galaxy. Triple Deluxe, I'm pretty sure he just like eats the entire map and spits it up if he wants to. And yet, in this game, he can't swallow a vending machine. So it's interesting to me.
A game fan, she clarifies this is on the first level. It's the first level music.
Okay.
It does have like a stepping out into the world kind of feel to it.
He's ready to go.
Like the intro to Perfect Strangers.
There it is. I'm wrong with that.
Which, if you are a member of Patreon, we're on the live stream. You got a little taste of me and Pernell
riffing on Perfect Strangers.
Yeah. All right. Our next track is coming from our listener, Rage Cage, host of the VG Emporium podcast. Rage Cage brought to us the track Monologue from No More Heroes, Travis Strikes Again, composed by Katsuhiro Abo. Back. We're listening to the monologue from Travis Strikes Again, No More Heroes by Katsuhiro Abo. This was picked by Rage Cage. And Rage Cage would like to say, howdy, fellas. I write back to you. Well, this was a blast getting to be a part of this communal fun times, both for FF and, 4 in February, and having the Switch has made it so fun. What's this, 4FF?
4 in February.
4FF, though.
4 February.
4 February.
Uh-huh.
Okay, that makes more sense now. 4IF. And having the Switch has made it so fun to get back into gaming proper. Now, the 4 I beat are Vengeful Guardian Moonrider, Yume Nikki Dream Diary, Travis Strikes Again, No More Heroes, and Decap Attack. Ooh, classic. Now, it's probably obvious what my submission is going to be from. Yep, you guessed it, No More Heroes. I know what you're thinking. Another No More Heroes track. Nope. That's 2 votes in a row. Crazy lug. Oh, that's right. But I can't help it. I am deeply enthralled by the Garden of Madness. I'm probably halfway, if not almost through No More Heroes 3. Now, the track I bring you is from the game within a game called Monologue from Travis Strikes Back. With No More Heroes was a visual and auditory kick to the face, but to cool down from the main game, there was TSB, Travis Strikes Back, in which it is all green monochrome visual novel type scenarios showing how Travis gets the death balls to continue the maddening journey. I actually really enjoyed these sections, despite just being still portraits and scenes, and the delightful 8-bit music enhances the retro computer experience. And this one is another variation on the main No More Heroes theme, which I have truly grown to love and hum/beatbox to myself on the daily. I may have to do an episode dedicated to all the different versions. Ah, yes, it was a blast to have you on, Pernell. And you're next, Rob. Get to thinking of what you want to bring to the shop, but you take your time, you DDR daddy. Sorry for the wall of text. Take care, guys. That's no problem. That wasn't a wall of text.
Oh, he's a wonderful guy. He can send all the walls of text
a handful
he wants.
of paragraphs. That's nice.
Now, here's the question, though.
What's that?
Because he put you on the spot, and I'm going to continue
What
the
am I
trend.
going to bring to the shop?
Yeah, what are you bringing to his shop?
It's going to be something silly, man. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be Mega Man boss themes.
I like it builds up. It's going to be wild and crazy. It's going to be traditional.
Kids are going to know nothing about it. It's going to be World 1-1 from every Mario game.
It's going to be wacky.
It's going to be Tetris.
DNA.
The Tetrises.
Yeah, come bring that energy, though. He'll love that.
No, I don't know. I'll find something interesting. I like to pick like a... I like to take a deep dive into franchises that I maybe not know entirely of, like all of, which is why a lot of our bonus beats episodes were like all of Bomberman or all of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like I know those games, I know a lot of those games, but I don't know them all, and a lot of them I haven't played in ages. So it's fun to like go back and kind of listen to like how the music progressed through the history of those games.
Maybe that could be what you do. You could have like an anthologies episode where you just kind of go through like 2 franchises together, and you just grab music from all of them.
Yeah, but I want them to be. I want the music to be, or the franchises to be something that maybe I don't know all of. Like maybe like Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego? You know, something like that.
Well, she's over there.
There's a lot of like Where in the Universe is Carmen Sandiego? Where in my bedroom is Carmen Sandiego? Where is
right there.
San Diego? Where in San Diego is Carmen Sandiego?
Also over there.
Also behind me. Behind
you. You're screwed.
Carmen Sandiego is calling from within the house.
That should have been the natural sequel.
Carmen Sandiego knows what you did last summer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you lay it on the table, Carmen Sandiego, I mean, she does great as a thief, but just like they did that ridiculous Winnie the Pooh reboot, they could have easily made like a weird Carmen Sandiego is actually like a, I don't know, schizophrenic serial killer or something.
Oh, yeah. I was saying, like, they made a Carmen Sandiego reboot, like, animated shit that was really good.
I used to love that cartoon.
On Netflix. It was actually,
oh, wait, you're not talking about the cartoon from the 90s.
No, they made a new one on Netflix.
Really?
Yeah, like a few years ago. It wasn't that bad.
See,
I didn't watch all of it. It was mainly for kids, so it was like, okay, but still, it was pretty good.
Hey, the one from the 90s was for kids, and I'd watch that today, especially if they concluded it.
like Pirates of Darkwater.
Yeah, that also needed to be concluded.
Yeah.
Give it an ending, please.
There's one I used to watch. It was called something in the Lost City of Gold. You know what I'm talking about?
That was that anime show that got ported back in the mid-80s.
Ah, yeah. For some reason, I look back on that being like this. I don't remember if that show actually existed or if this was like some kind of like Berenstain Bears situation where it was like implanted in my brain. But no,
Berenstain
I remember watching it religiously and like it never really had an ending, or we never really got the ending. But if it was an anime, maybe like it just went on forever and they just stopped localizing it.
Yeah, which is unfortunate. Somebody's probably if it was a stop localization. I think that's what happened to Noozles too.
The Noozles was a thing?
Yeah, that was Japanese.
I didn't know that.
That was anime.
Noozles.
The Noozles, Koala Walla Land, all that good stuff.
Oh, wow, man. That's just unlocked some like memories in my brain right now.
That was anime. So was David the Gnome. That was anime.
Are you sure?
Positive.
So we have a ton of David the Gnome on Justin from XVGM. His Plex server has a ton of David the Gnome. And I'm like, wow, that is some old school stuff. Doesn't seem like it would be.
Do you really think a U.S. cartoon in that era would have an ending as like kind of somber as David the Gnomes?
Yeah, it's true. I mean, we had dinosaurs have that kind of ending.
Dinosaurs? Oh, that wasn't a cartoon though. That was a Jim Henson joint.
Yeah,
and it was a primetime show.
Primetime family show.
Hey, and the kids didn't get it. So that's how that works. Oh wow, it's snowing. That's cool. Is it? Is it cool?
Is it really cool? All right, we're on to your next.
Wait, before that, we got one last thing. Two things. EB mentioned that apparently that track was called Travis and the Jeanne by Jun Fukuda. So we'll have to check into that a little bit later.
Oh yeah, I might have written down the wrong one. So apologies if that's the case.
No worries.
Apologies to everyone who worked on No More Heroes who's listening to the show right now.
All of them.
All of them.
And then the next thing was like on the break, I actually asked an interesting question because I was curious. So obviously, I have a weird Garbage Pail Kid theming for this episode, a personal theming. So I asked what other weird collectibles listeners have been keeping, just that they might consider weird or different. And we had a couple good responses. Musashi219 mentioned that he collects those vinyl dumpster fire toys toys, which I'm not sure if you've seen them, but they're these little adorable, like, blue dumpsters with, like, an acrylic flame sticking out the side.
I've never seen these things.
And a little smiley face on it. So, like...
Oh, wait. No.
It's based off of the dumpster fire meme where people's like, oh, it's like... Remember there's that meme where there's a raging water and there's a dumpster floating through it and it's on fire?
Yeah. We have a Christmas tree ornament that's like 2020 and 2021 is like dumpster fire inside a dumpster fire.
Okay, yeah. So it's like someone took that theming, but they made it adorable... And it's got like a little cute smiley face on it.
Cute, yeah.
And then they started making a bunch of variations like the KFC dumpster fire and then just weird different dumpster fire kids.
Okay.
So then we got that. Game Fan mentioned that her sister collected rubber duckies for a while. Those things got nuts. Like there's so many rubber ducky toys. And then there's that whole, programmer thing that programmers like to do the rubber ducky method where you need to brainstorm something. And
never heard of this.
You never heard of this? Yeah, so like the thing
rubber ducky method.
Yeah, it's corny, but what it was is like, so if you're trying to brainstorm how to resolve a problem, like in your code or whatever, the way you help yourself get through is you put a little rubber ducky on your desk, and you talk to the rubber ducky, like you brainstorm with the duck.
Sorry.
And it's funny, but it works. Like you basically are just like you're talking to something, like you're conveying your thoughts to a totem. And that totem is a rubber ducky, and that helps you resolve what code issues you've written up or you've come across.
I kind of see that, like having like a puppet.
Yeah, it does the trick.
You can tell your problems to.
Martyrus has a small collection of dice, which I can definitely get behind. I just bought a 100-sided die today, actually. Jess has mentioned two things. I have lots of records, about 545s for the jukebox and boxes of LPs. You get along with that.
Yeah, I have quite a big record collection. I've really pared it down once I moved everything into the new studio because I had so many that I was just hanging on to that I never touched, that I don't care about. Like my grandfather's old barbershop record collection. I'm like, I think it's okay to get rid of those.
I'm glad you said that because the next thing she said here, she goes, I only get ones I'll listen to or play. So I may not be a true collector. And I say BS to that. I say this all the time.
Yeah.
I see no value in collecting something you don't actually care about.
Yeah,
and I'm not knocking people that do it.
That's compulsion. Like that becomes like a compulsive thing. Where it's like, oh, if it's a record, I bought it.
Like, I know people who like collected like the entirety of the NES library. I'm like, okay, that's well and good, but how many of those games do you not want?
Yeah,
like,
why do you have the Sesame Street game?
I don't care about this crap. Like, get it out of my house.
Yeah.
Only collect stuff you want to use, even if you never get around to it. The fact that you could be like, if I had some free time, I would play that. Like, that's enough for me.
Yeah.
Like,
I pared all my stuff down to like stuff I would want to listen to, or my wife would want to listen to, or stuff that I'm actively like mixing or playing with. So so I kept all my classical records, but like most of my records now are just like drum and bass and hip hop. Like that's just all I've got.
And that's all it needs
to be. I wanted,
And then the last thing she mentioned, she said, I have rolls and rolls of 35 millimeter film. That's pretty cool.
Oh, neat.
Lots of unique and experimental films. The butter spot in the fridge is just film. That is baller. I do plan to use the ball, but it's too cold for me to go outside right now. Don't blame me there. Though apparently it is getting warmer. It's like a shockingly warm day.
Well, for us
here.
it is. Yeah.
So I just love...
Oh, but it snowed the other day.
Yeah, the only snow we got all season.
Yeah, I don't
sad.
think we're getting any more snow, which is a little sad.
Meanwhile, Los Angeles is getting blizzard warnings.
Yeah, who knows? Who knew that would happen this year? Who knew? All right, so why don't you go on your next track there, Pernell?
Okay, let's do that then. Let me see if I can scroll down here and not over-type something. So I think I just put like Wawa into our text for some stupid reason by mistake.
That happens.
So the next track I'm going to submit actually came from Jess. A track that I did not expect to be in the game she chose, which is probably why I picked this. This is called Safety Videos from the game The Quarry, composed by Ian Livingstone. Welcome back. You're listening to safety videos from the game The Quarry, composed by Ian Livingstone, and this was submitted by listener Jess. So I need to play this game now because I want to know where the heck this. She might even mention it in her testimonial, which I'll find out. But I'm very curious. But anyway, I have the game. It's sitting on my kitchen table, or sorry, my living room table. It's just a matter of popping it in and giving it the treatment I gave The Devil in Me, which will be an entire day of playing through it in sequence.
And that's The Devil in You.
The Devil in Me was me playing a game for 10 hours straight. But this is Jess's pick, and let's see what she had to say. I don't know. Maybe her name would be Jammin' Jess or Juicy Jess.
Let's not go with that one. Are you trying to go with the garbage pail?
Garbage pail kids. There's like a garbage pail cover. It's like an orange. The top of the kid's head is an orange. You put it in a juicer.
No, just like a jam, and you put her in a jar.
There it is too. That's a good one too. Jammin' Jess. Okay, here we go. The description. I love this garbage pail kid thing. I didn't think I'd be able to complete 4 games in February, but instead of working on projects, I just played games all month. But that's okay. I was running pretty low on creative juice anyway. So bam! Juice and Jess. She said it right there. I finally finished Metal Gear 5, which I started on December 26th, and it's great. I then moved on to Phantasmagoria 2, which is not so great. It's a big step in the wrong direction from the first one in both story and gameplay. I joined the others in playing Hollow Knight, which I had started and abandoned a long time ago. I enjoyed it, but wouldn't put it on a list of my favorite games. I wrapped the 4 in February up with The Quarry, which I really enjoyed after the first few chapters of teen drama had passed and the scary stuff started going full swing. In fact, that's how this was a lot of those games these days. I'll definitely play through this one again sometime and see if I can get through with a few more characters surviving to the end. I put one track from each game below, take your pick, and I'll most likely be on the live stream on Sunday. And she is, so that's awesome. But I feel like I get that vibe too from a lot of those games. The ones I've played, I find myself really not vibing with any of the actual characters that are survivors. And then either A, I'll get into the scary stuff like she mentioned, and I'm like, okay, they're starting to warm up to me because, when they're put in dire situations, their true colors start to show, and I can respect that. Or the alternative where they stay terrible people. I'm like, well, I don't even care if they're dead unless it's for an achievement, so whatever. Get out of here. That's what happened with, The Devil in Me. Like, you're playing through it, and it started out being like, these people all suck. They're all self-centered and immoral. Who cares about any of them? And then, as they're starting to, in their personal bubbles and they're under duress, you start to have them in a situation where they start to come out with their true feelings. Like, this is why they're like this. They're like all their regrets and their things they want to do if they get out of their lives. Like, okay, I get it. They were just being typical pretentious people putting up a wall for the world around them. And now that they're in a situation where they might not get another chance to be themselves, they're like, look, this is how I truly feel. I hope we can survive this and get over our stupid human BS that we've been dealing with for the last 4 years. So that, I'm hoping, happens in The Quarry by the end. And I guess I'll find out myself. But The Devil in Me, I kind of got that, and I was happy about it. But I'm always down for, if anybody's playing games like this, where you kind of go through these narrative experiences and you can talk about them kind of like a movie when it's done.
Yeah, when Detroit was done, I had a lot of dialogue about that.
Yeah. Isn't that fun though? It's like you're like, oh, I want to talk to somebody about this.
Because everyone's coming away with it with different things. When everyone watches a movie, it's possible everyone comes away with different experiences from the movie. But when it's a game, it's interactive. Everyone usually does. How do they play it? How did the situations resolve? And then how did they respond to it? Yeah, emotionally.
And I do just have to see how, in a game that's about horror and a serial killer coming after a bunch of characters, I need to see how this track factors in. I need to see it.
Safety video. It's probably something in the background, or you're watching a safety video on how to take care. It's probably a safety video, and it's a chainsaw safety video, and then all of a sudden the guy comes out with a chainsaw,
which in itself would be pretty humorously meta. Why is this playing in the background? Out of nowhere, here, vroom, vroom, oh crap! Start running. Get out of here.
That would be pretty great. All right, our next track comes from our listener and friend Bedroth. He's picking from the game Octopath Traveler. This is the track Cyrus the Scholar.
is your pick.
It's my pick. Anyway, we're back. We're listening to music selected from Bedroth. This is from the game Octopath Traveler. This is a fun little waltz. The track is called Cyrus the Scholar. And Bedroth says, "This month I finished 4 games I've been working on for a while and played a short one for a bonus 5th. I know all about that. Played Runner 2, Future Legend of Rhythm Alien. We are a part of a rhythm alien. Played Octopath Traveler. Wow. Dear Esther, the Landmark Edition. Banjo-Kazooie and The Looker, which is a parody of The Witness. I gotta find that. That sounds amazing to me. The Looker. He continues to say, I knew going in that Runner 2, Octopath, and Banjo-Kazooie have some great tunes. Dear Esther is more atmospheric, but the sound design is really nice. The Looker is just kind of silly, not much to speak of. It's tough to pick, but I think for the episode I'll share this tune from Octopath, since the sequel is all the rage right now. I'll get it eventually, but I want to make more of a dent in my backlog before I get it. Plus there's Tears of the Kingdom coming soon, which is guaranteed to swallow my life. I've put 60 hours into Octopath so far, and though I got my credits roll for finishing the quest of my starter, Cyrus, there's still a lot more for me to go back to and do eventually. I'm really glad that Cyrus clicked with me. I love this scholar's curiosity and his magical acumen in battle, but what really won me over about him is his noble spirit and his ability to maintain his integrity despite his intellectual ambition. Wow, there's a lot going on in this game. When great power was offered to him, he turned it down in the interest of academic honesty and for the sake of future generations. My pick for this month is his theme song, Cyrus the Scholar.
I like hearing that actually too, because just like Wise Guy mentioned in the chat, he only played a few hours of the first one and didn't finish it. I'm the same way. Like, I keep going back to it, but I think the game is fine, but it's also very dry, which makes it hard for me to stick with it long term. But the battle system, I think, is splendid. I love the way they do, like, you can kind of like stock attacks up and just like do super moves when you stock up enough power.
It's all like kind of like a old school turn-based type thing, right?
Yes, and it has a lot of. It makes very good use of like hitting enemy weaknesses and the like. But the thing that kills me again is the dryness of it, the fact that the characters don't interact well with each other. It's just basically they're kind of coming along with each other to fulfill their own personal missions, which can go either way. And also the fact that side quests in that game are a pain in the butt. They give you really no guidance. They'll be like, a guy will go, man, I really like the idea of getting some butterscotch wafers. And they'll be like, bing, bing, guy wants butterscotch wafers. You're like, where do you get them? Do I have to make them myself? Do I buy them at a store? Does a monster drop them in his picnic? I don't know what I'm doing.
Are they hidden somewhere on the map that I have to go find them?
Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing with this. Like, it does a good job of showing you just how useful waypoints or some indication of a direction are good to keep the momentum of a game flow going. Because that game could really use that. But those things aside, I think the game is solid. And I heard that the sequel fixed a lot of those issues for sure. And I want to go back to it. And also, I did like the fact that he mentioned Cyrus, because I picked Ophelia as my starting character, but I ended up also being more a fan of Cyrus, because he ended up being the second person I got to join my group. And I was like, I like what he's doing. I like what he's all about. And I like the fact that he pretty much, his entire gimmick is he's inquisitive and he likes to like investigate people, but then he gets overly obsessive and sometimes people come, what are you doing? Don't look into my business.
So in Octopath, can you like pick who you want to start the game with, like whoever?
Yeah, so there's 8 people total, each with their own personal class, so to speak, right? And you know me, I'm like cleric and female character to start. So combination was like Ophelia. So I went with her, and her narrative was very bland. So I was like, oh, this isn't cool. But I kept going, and then I came across Cyrus, and I was like, I like him a little bit more. I like this
guy. Because Bedroth said that he's glad that he ended up starting the game with him and clicked with him, because like I would imagine you started with a character that you did not click with at all.
Yeah, pretty much. But the thing about it, though, in the way they designed this game, I'm not sure if who you start with ultimately matters. I'll find out later, because once you find individual people, you just do their narratives. So by the end, if you play the game in its entirety, you will experience all of those characters' chapter plots. In full. And then there's a secret ending where where it supposedly ties all the stories together into like some weird fate-based narrative.
It was put together by M. Night.
There it is.
Yeah.
What a twist.
All right, so we're going to turn this track down, and we're getting into a new part of the show, or old part of the show, however you want to say it. This is the bonus beats. Board game beats.
Board game bonus beats.
Board game bonus beats. This is where Pernell has a collection of board games that we want to talk about. This is a game that you've talked about for a while, actually.
Yes, this game is called Hickory Dickory. It is published by Plaid Hat Games, and it was designed by a guy named Sawyer West, which, full disclosure here, I was especially excited for this game's release because I actually helped him playtest this game over the course of years. Like, I've played previous iterations of it, and then when I learned from him that it actually got a publisher and it was coming out, I was ecstatic about it. So, you might be asking, for those looking at the stream, like, why isn't your version opened up? Well, the reason is simple. I've played everyone else's copies because multiple friends of mine also end up buying it through recommendations and stuff, and it's a genuine gem of a game.
When you described what it turned into, I wasn't so sure about it, but looking at the style of the game and what it's about, it's got me more interested.
So the idea behind the game is that it is a clock, and just consider it to be like a clock realm, because that's the best way I can think of contextualizing it.
The clock is their world.
Is their world, and the world is governed by Lord Cuckoo of the Cuckoo Clock. So the mice are scavenging to get items to satisfy Lord Cuckoo, to make him happy, to appease him, so to speak. And the gameplay consists of you controlling multiple mice and what's considered a worker rotation game. So normal worker placement games, you take characters and place them in locations to trigger powers.
Right,
and
like
abilities.
I have 3 workers, which means I have only 3 options, or three times I can make choices.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you're limited in those choices.
In this game, however, it consider it worker rotation because your placement is determined by your place on the clock hand. So, like, there's an hour hand, which is pretty much how you determine round of the game you're in. And then the minute hand, which every time it turns, it stops at a specific point on the map. And depending on which mouse you're using, they each have different capacities of what they can carry and how far they can move along the clock from the minute hand out.
Mm-hmm.
You'll choose whether you want the mouse to jump off the hand to fulfill that action, which offers you to do all kinds of cool things, like shop at the Itsy Bitsy Market, like the Itsy Bitsy Spider, and you trade resources to get new items. You can fulfill different obligations, like to trigger abilities, all kinds of stuff. And depending on how many mice end up staying on the minute hand for further rotations, you can send your mouse onto the hand, in which case each mouse has a different like spatial element. Like one can take up 2 spaces, one can take up 1 space. If too many mice are on, you can bump someone else's mouse off before they're intended to jump off, so you can screw players over that way.
Only so many mice can hang out on the minute hand.
That's correct.
That's
so you can't hang out too long, because I can tell you firsthand, I would intentionally screw people over by knocking them off the hand. Like, oh, I didn't intend to, but screw it. Get all my mice on the hand right now.
Right. The game is called Hickory Dickory. It's from Plaid Hat Games, and the designer is
Sawyer West.
He's
a good guy, and I can tell you right now, the way he contextualizes rules when he creates games, it's masterful work. Like, I will sit there and hear him explain a game to me that he's created. Like, the original iteration of this game was actually, I told you about that. The original version of this game was meant to be businessmen who learned how to control and manipulate time through something called the Sands of Time. So they had to exist in 3 different time periods simultaneously, making business transactions to manipulate the market.
Yeah, which I think is cool.
It was amazing. Like, you're like, okay, I'm going to tell my past self about this. My past self is going to tell my future self about this thing. He's going to make an investment, and then my future self is going to profit off of it 2 time frames later. And it's like, it sounds so bonkers. But when you watch it, when you were executing, it's like, this is so much fun.
Right.
Passing information forward and then sending things back.
So this is essentially the same game.
There's a lot of changes.
Almost the same game, but just a different theme.
Yeah, sadly, it lost a couple of those elements, but it still works in just a cool way because, like, for example, the mice can pass items to each other on the clock.
Right.
So even though they have different storage capacities, you can give the lighter mouse some stuff that's specifically intended to pass to the burly mouse, so you can carry them all to the shop and trade them in together to fulfill contracts and stuff like that. This is a wonderful game. And one thing I will say is I've heard a couple people say that the game doesn't offer a lot of competitiveness, like it's almost solitary, and I stand to differ, wholeheartedly differ on that, because each player is trying to fulfill a board of a request they want, and if you're paying attention to what people are trying to do with their personal boards and also the collective goals, you can and should actively send your mice in a way that says, okay, I'm going to use that spot to collect an item and use it for myself, and intentionally knock that person out of the way so they can't do it. Like, I was being very aggressive playing this game.
So aggressive play, like a lot of these like Euro style games where everyone's got their own board or their own mat, like aggressive style play, which you can use to play against other people. or use like a take a turn that you would normally do for yourself in order to get in the way of somebody else. A lot of times, it's never optimal. It's almost never optimal.
But in this game, they did it in a way where it could. Like it may not always be the turn that's the most perfect for you, but you can work it in a way where it's like I can get enough out of this that I will benefit from hurting that player while also making do with what I've got. Like the trick is to not be tunnel focused specifically on your obligations and your goals, and be able to open yourself up to the fact that this goal over here does exist. It wasn't a part of my overall strategy, but I can work it in specifically to get enough points to justify taking points from that guy.
I like that.
Yeah. And the last thing I need to mention is I forgot to mention that after a certain point, the clock hits one rotation, like minute hand goes from 1 to 12. You do a thing where you roll 2 dice, and depending on where they roll, a cat paw comes out and like blocks out 2 actions.
Oh, clever.
So I can kind of screw things over.
I was wondering what that little token was there with the cat paw on it.
Oh, yeah. It'll pretty much like block out that action for that round. And I've heard some people complain about, okay, well, if it blocks out the 2 shop tiles, then I can't trade in my stuff. I'm like, well, that can happen. But guess what? Roll with it. That's how games like this works. Like, you're not always going to have the optimal.
You knew that something was going to get blocked, so
if it happens,
be planning for it. Yeah.
Exactly. And if it happens to be that thing that you were going for, pivot. Do something else.
That's tough, too, because I've played some games where like the risk-reward is so high, you should always risk, you know, because that means if there's no... Like, if you're going to win, then you know you're going to win, you know, if the risk pays off.
Yes.
So a lot of those games end up in that way, where it's like, okay, despite the fact I know that paw can come out, I'll risk everything anyway. Oh,
and I do.
Yeah.
I will. But if the cat happens to block the thing I was going for with that risk, again, you can pivot. You might not
Still
get
time to do it.
Yeah, maybe if there's no time, you do something else. Like, there are situations where you can be screwed. No denying that. But generally, if you're mindful of your options, you can pivot to do things that may not have been as great. But that's the name of the game. Not always going to get what you want, so you get what you can. And since everyone's dealing with the same problems as you are, you're all faced with the same plight. It's not like it only screwed you. It screws everybody. So work with it.
I like that. You can't always get what you want. It's the name of the song.
You can't always get what you want.
If you try a little bit, you'll get what you can.
That's right. That's a song, too. But yeah, do you have any questions about this bad boy?
No. I'm saying we should break it open sometime soon.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and it'll be your copy.
Oh, my copy, 100%. Because I'm not letting you buy it because I'd be sad.
I haven't bought a new game in a while. So
you should because I have too many games. Just play mine forever.
All right. Well, Hickory Dickory, PlatHatGames.com. Go check it out. Very
much worth your time and money. And don't be like that girl at PAX Unplugged who called me a shill because guess what? I don't care. I love this game. And I'll tell everybody till the cows come home how great it is.
100%. All right, what's your next track then? You got a pick for us?
Well, this comes from the game Hickory Dickory.
No.
Let me stop here. Actually, let me go down and look for my little Bob and Bob here. This actually comes from The Wise Guy. And this track is called A Day in the Village by Eddie Marianukroh from the game Chained Echoes, a game that is in my backlog too. Welcome back. You are listening to A Day in the Village from the game Chained Echoes, composed by Eddie Marianukroh. I'll get it one day. Until then, don't judge me. Submitted by Musashi219, the wise guy himself, who played through this game for his Twitch stream. And I am genuinely glad that he liked it, because it further cements that I made the right call buying a game that I bought solely on recommendations from friends, including him. And this is what he had to say in his testimonial. It's true. I did it. I managed to complete a game in February challenge. Okay, that didn't flow as well as I was hoping it would. Anyway, the first part was great. Anyway, making good on my New Year's resolution to play more RPGs. I didn't indeed finish Chained Echoes in addition to a handful of visual novels, those being Mothman 1966, Milk Outside a Bag of Milk Outside a Bag of Milk, and Producer 2021. I'm submitting yet another track from Chained Echoes because the OST is just that good, and I love it so much, and the game itself is phenomenal too. I've offered a couple of tracks, so I'll let you choose which one you'd prefer. Either choice, an excellent example of the calmer, more wholesome themes the game has to offer so you can relax post-dungeon exploration. Also, a special shout out to GameFan44, who watched me stream the majority of Chained Echoes. Much appreciate the love and support of the RMP community. And we much appreciate you, buddy.
Yeah.
I've actually been really glad that he started becoming a part of this whole circle and such, because he's been a friend of mine for a really long time. And we have the shared mutual love of RPGs and the like. And it helps. One, it gives us a way to keep in touch more so, because as we got older and all of our group gatherings kind of started to dwindle because everybody's in their own personal life bubbles, it's kind of good to have that connection still intact to say, hey, you know, we're talking about video game music, which we've always liked, and we're talking about RPGs, which we've always liked, so let's just keep chatting about these things we enjoy, despite the fact that our lives are going in crazy directions.
Yeah.
And also, he's just a good dude in general. He's always been one of the more level-headed friends I had, so he's a good guy, and I'm glad he's doing well. He's just a good man.
I like this song. I like this song a lot, too. It's Chained Echoes. What kind of game is Chained Echoes?
So, it is very much one of those, like, more political. I mean, I could be wrong because I haven't personally played it. He can confirm it if I'm wrong, but it's one of those more, like, political-driven JRPGs where, like warring countries and the like. And characters that are kind of caught up in the thick of it all.
This is the one that's like Chrono Trigger. It looks like Chrono Trigger, right?
It has the look, and it may even have combo checks that I don't know, but the thing I know from what I remember Chris telling me regarding like what makes the combat special is that there is like a gauge at the top of the screen, and as you do certain attacks, it kind of fills up higher and higher, and as it gets to a certain point, your party members become much more vulnerable to like damage and like almost overexertion, if I'm getting the terminology right. So you have to use other attacks that kind of bring the bar back down. So you can't just like take one type of attack you like and just spam it ad nauseum.
Oh, actually, so it forces you to balance things. Otherwise, like you're too far on one side.
Yes.
Oh, that's really clever, actually.
And I like the idea of that very much.
Yeah.
Graphically, I think the game looks really good. I like the music that I've heard from the game so far.
Yeah, I like that style. It's like the fake 16-bit style where it's supposed to look like supposed to look like a 16-bit game as you remember it.
Yes.
Like not exactly like 16-bit style. Yeah.
And I'm kind of cool with that.
Yeah, I like that too.
Because while I'm not completely averse to games being like 16-bit, I am kind of burned out when some games you'll come across games like 16-bit, and that's really all we did. Like, I still want to get what your take on that is. Not, I'm just recreating this game you liked, but with new names to avoid copyright infringement. Yeah, Do you like it?
Yeah, you want their own style, their own spin on something.
Yeah, I want their thing. Yeah, here we go. Musashi219 says, yeah, it has an overdrive gauge and in-battle party swapping mechanic. So I like the idea of like swapping party members on the go. Like, I guess I don't want to say I hated it when they made you waste a turn to swap a party member in. I like when it's like, hey, we're all here. Because let's be realistic here. The real thing that's happening is you could have 8 people journeying together, and you only control 4 because the game couldn't handle information for more than 4 characters. That was probably the actual issue back then, or they didn't want to overwhelm players.
Right, yeah.
So to have you waste a turn just to bring another party member in just seemed kind of dumb, because they're right there. They're just kicking back, letting you do the work. So why can't they just step in and do some damage?
That was Final Fantasy X. Like, you've got 8 characters. Like, just swap them out whenever you want.
Yeah, just bring them in. There's no reason you shouldn't.
I like doing that. I like the way, because it just gave you like a lot more flexibility, and it's not like it didn't make the game any easier. It just was like, how did you want to do it? 3 are already out. You got to pick one.
And then the best part about it, too, is that I feel like when you find yourself in a situation where you're required to only swap a party member at, say, a save point or some location, it makes it harder to utilize every party member because you develop favorites, and then you don't have to go back and bring that other guy who's underdeveloped into your party to work with him. It's going to break your cool combo that you've learned. Yeah, just bring them all.
Okay, question then. I don't know Pokemon that well anymore. If you're playing Pokemon, does it take a turn to swap out Pokemon?
Yes. Though that, it works differently because they're all with you in air quotes, but they're technically in balls, so they're not like standing off to the side. You have to do this whole thing where it's like, okay, one comes back, one comes in.
So you're saying, yes, Rob, but there's a reason for it.
There's a valid, for their in-game universe, mind you, there's a reason for it.
Yeah, that makes, I get it. All right, our last track here is coming from our new listener, our new Patreon member, rather, old-time listener, the Ant Master.
I love
the
that
Master
name.
of Ants.
All the ants.
And he is picking a track from, I think, the game of the year, Vampire Survivors. The track is Red and Blue, music composed by Daniele Zandara.
Quarry Adventure Advance. EB probably knows what it is.
And we're back. You're listening to Red and Blue from the game Vampire Survivors, composed by Daniele Zandara. This is picked by our listener, Antmaster. I love the music from this game, which I did reveal that I haven't listened to a lot of the music because I play this game pretty silent.
That's probably where his reaction came from.
Oh, no, it's awful. Antmaster writes to us, "Hi, guys. Hope you're doing great. Here's my testimonial. At the beginning of the month, I plan on playing The Witcher 3, Subnautica Below Zero, Hollow Knight, and Vampire Survivors. Then I remembered I have a 1-year-old kid, so basically I just played the dad game, Vampire Survivors." Okay, I'm happy to hear that it's now the dad game because you can play it like one-handed while doing other stuff. My gaming experience has been either jamming for 30 minutes to Vampire Survivors or chilling around the Witcher world on horseback doing no missions at all. I shared this testimonial as a way of giving a big welcome to Rob to the Dad Club, and thank you so much for introducing me to this amazing game. Oh, you're welcome. So my favorite track is Red and Blue. The final of this full crescendo always gets me no matter how many times it loops. All my best wishes. Yeah, I mean, like, you're playing through each of these stages usually 30 minutes at a time, so this gets looped, at least...
A lot.
I mean, this track's like almost 2 minutes, so it gets looped quite a bit.
But I will say that, but that's a testament to like good VGM and video games too. In a lot of ways, is the fact that it can be played repetitively or repeatedly over the course of 20, 30 minutes, even an hour sometimes, and you don't tire of it. Like, it's just solid music.
Yeah, and for this game, it's really important to have such like solid music. I will say the ending theme during the credits was not. It was just it's like a remix of It's kind of a joke. I'll let people discover it. It's pretty silly though, and then it gets even sillier and it speeds up for some reason. All right, now we're at the part of the show where we turn the music down and we get into the part of the show we call the bonus round.
Bonus round. I'm gonna get down and play some video game jams.
The bonus round is where we play covers and remixes based on our theme. And this episode's no different. We received a few bonus round picks from our listeners. Pernell, what'd you got?
So my bonus round pick came from Martyrs, in that he chose a track from a game that I'm surprised anyone that isn't me referenced. So I'm glad to see someone did, because I love this game and I want to get back to it. It's called Virgo versus the Zodiac. This track is called Red Hot Chili Aries, remixed by Laughingstock and originally composed by Electro Bear. We'll see how this plays out. Let's get this bad boy started.
All right.
welcome back. You just listened to Red Hot Chili Aries from the game Virgo versus the Zodiac, or rather a cover of the track from the game Virgo versus the Zodiac, remixed by Laughingstock, but originally composed by Electro Bear and submitted by Martyrs. And Martyrs has these things to say. Afternoon, gentlemen. It's Martyrs here with a list of games that would have been on my 4 for February. Sadly, I was planning for my 1-year episode and, well, real life had other plans for me. Now, nonetheless, these are the games I would have played and attempted to finish. And his lists were Cloudpunk, Lost in Random, Virgo versus the Zodiac, and Sonic Frontiers. And he says enjoy, and as he is, he said I'll be in the chat during the show. So thank you very much for joining us, Martyrs. You're a good dude, and I do enjoy playing games with you. Look forward to maybe seeing you at some point in the future to get a tabletop round 2 going, because it was really fun getting you involved in like the games that I like to play. And you seem to really be enjoying yourself too, which I like, because sometimes you'll play games with people and you're like, you can tell where they're like, I'm just doing this because I don't want them to think this game is fun. Like, I don't want them to think I don't like the game, but in the end, no, you clearly were having a good time, and I appreciate that. It was fun. So hopefully we get to do that again sometime. And thank you for submitting this great track to the show.
Unfortunately, we are running a little bit low on time, so for more information on the bonus round, go to rhythmandpixels.com. We'll have links to the artists' Bandcamps and SoundClouds and everywhere you can download the music and support the artists. All right, thank you everybody for listening to the show today, 36-1. This is our 4 in February. Thanks to everyone who submitted music selections and to everyone who took part in the dialogue in our Discord.
It was a good time, actually, and it was good to catch up with everybody because it's been a pretty surprisingly hectic period of time over the last few months, weeks, what have you.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. It's been very, very hectic. In fact, it's so hectic, I got to get moving.
Pretty much, exactly.
So if you'd like to get in contact with us, to get in contact with the show, if you have a track suggestion, a topic suggestion, and even during these live stream episodes that we do once a month, if you see it advertised and you want to be a part of it, you don't have to be a member of our Patreon. You can just send us an email to our email address
at rhythmandpixels@hotmail.com.
And then you can also go to for a track listing. I'm sorry, I'm trying to do too many things at one time here. There we go. They move things around on Patreon. For a full track listing of this episode and access to all of our episodes, go to our website,
rhythmandpixels.com.
And if you are interested in listening to more VGM, great VGM, we have a YouTube radio station that plays nothing but 8-bit and 16-bit deep cuts and classic tracks at youtube.com/rhythmandpixels. And if you want to help support the show, you can go to Patreon, patreon.com/rhythmandpixels, where you get access to monthly live streams such as this episode and other cool stuff like stickers and mugs and t-shirts. And we also like to give a shout out to the members of our Patreon who are at the highest tiers at the end of every episode. So thank you very much to Brooke, Corey, and Khalid, huge supporters of the show. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you guys.
Huge thank yous also to Kristen, GameFan44, Martyris, host of the ReVGM podcast, Mike Myers, Vashin8060. Thank you to the Super Game Station. Thank you to Antmaster, Brian Pitt, Cameron Werma, Carlos, Kung Fu Carlito, host of the Heroes 3 podcast, Chris Weisner, a.k.a. Musashi219.
The wise guy.
Good to see you there. Christopher Shenstrom, Chuck Kowalski, Davey Cakes, David Good, David Taylor, Enchilada Rigol, Harold Howard, Triple Jeff, Justin Schneider, host of XVGM Radio, Keith Shusterman, Michael Bridgewater, Reinhard Zelkova, Mounting Sagat, Sleepy S'more, Steve Miller, Taco, and Zach Thornbach. Thank you to all of you and to many, many more for supporting our show. It means so much to us. It helps with our equipment, it helps with our live shows, it helps with everything we do around here. So it's a huge support to us.
Much appreciated. Thank you very much. And hey, keep coming back. Come join us on the live stream at some point.
And also, the 4 in February might be over, but hey, it's March. It's time for DLC. The 4 in February DLC. So go and download the extras and get it in. But until that time, my name is Rob Nichols.
And I'm Pernell.
Have a great week.
And remember, time is precious and somehow fleeting in these very pressing times, but make time for the things you want to do. I mean, you can always find a little bit of time here and there. It may not be all the time, but generally it's enough time to feel like you got a little taste of something and not just gave it up for, life matters and all that. Keep trying, keep doing, and most of all, keep being your best self. It's hard out here, but we can do it. Have a good night, guys.
Good night.